gente, welcome to part 2 of Period Poverty, where Soul Toucha The Poet and I delve a little deeper into what that means. And if you haven't tuned into part 1, make sure you do that, all right? What are you waiting for? And don't forget to follow your girl on Instagram at itsmi.chelle. Click the link in my bio. It'll take you to all my other social media platforms, YouTube and Patreon page. I hope you enjoy.
I see you. It's me. It's me. It's me. It's me. It's me, Shell bitch.
Hey gente, welcome back to another week of the It's Me Shell podcast. And remember, my job is to make your road to Friday a lot easier.
Where I'm like, nope, in this household, everyone's going to be honest and we're going to spread that knowledge, because if not, that's when disasters happen. I really do think, again, that lack of knowledge will fuck you up. It will. It'll mess you all the way up, because I was thinking one thing and then I got home and had to think something else. And I never got that reassurance from my parent to be like, no, this is normal. We can talk about it. It's not taboo. It's not a secret. It's okay. It happens. But my family, it's like, no, what is that? Doesn't even exist. I'm like, oh, okay.
Wow. So I was reading and it says period poverty became an issue in March of 2019 when stakeholders across sectors engaged in menstrual health met in Geneva to establish a global plan to fight menstruation, health, and hygiene.
Oof.
That's a lot to unpack there.
Right. That's intense.
Very intense. Right.
Oh shit. I heard Geneva. I'm like, convention?
Right. That's where they go for, global meetings and stuff.
Like, this is a problem globally? God damn. What the fuck are we doing wrong?
Problem globally so bad that y'all had to go to Geneva.
For real.
Switzerland to have this.
And once you're in Geneva, that's like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Right. Oh my God. Yeah.
Wow. I feel like sometimes, and again, politics is so tricky. Because, you have one way of thinking. So my way of thinking is like very logical. Like, well, if this is a problem, let's just fix it. But in politics, my way of thinking is like, no, because you have to jump through this hoop and then talk to this person and then talk to this person. It's just like, no, I'm a problem solver. Like, no, let's just buy a whole bunch of shit and let's just go take it out and fucking create lines and be like, okay, guys, here you go. This is for your family. This is for your family. Let's do starter packs. But no, politicians are like, no, well, we have to get petitions signed and we have to get, we have to get people to say that it's okay. And I'm just like, really? Who's going to turn around and say, nah, you can't come to our state and hand out pads and tampons and literature on menstruation to families? And no, you can't do that. That's just me thinking. But when you're a politician, it's too many loopholes for me. Let's just get shit done. Is that wrong? Just get shit done.
Yeah. It's crazy that in 2021 they threw a bill out there, Menstrual Equity for All Act, to make access and affordability for these products for those who do not have proper access. Again, it's mind-blowing that they have to pass a goddamn bill for that.
Right. Why not just make it affordable? See, this is the money-hungry industry we're in.
Yeah.
Listen, women, you heard the stats. Women will always have their periods, y'all.
Always.
How much more money do you really want? You know what I mean? Like, why raise prices? Why make them unaffordable? Why not just make them affordable for all? Everyone's going to make money. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, again, logical thinking. It's like,
right. Yeah.
Well, to me, if it's the same price across the board, you just fucking pick your poison. They're going to fly off the shelves. People need them. I'm just thinking about it too simply. I don't know.
I guess I am too. Another thing out there, because I know people think I'm like weird for having this discussion and knowing certain things, but there's bacterial vaginosis,
Yeah.
um, you know, um, having the products in your body too long, and toxic shock syndrome out
Yes.
there. I say that to lead into asking, what is your thought on reusable menstrual products?
So if it's like cloth and things that you can wash,
Hmm.
that's fine. That's okay because back in the day, so it's so funny that we're talking about this because my earlier today, my husband and I went to lunch and we were talking about way back in the day when I was a kid, like kid, and I would go to
Hmm.
Dominican Republic every summer. My grandmother wasn't like this rich woman in DR. Like we used to use the bathroom in a latrine, y'all. Latrine.
She said a latrine. That's what you use in the military.
So funny. That's what he said. He was like, "Oh shit, we use latrine in the Marines." He was like, "Yeah."
Oh my god.
Exactly what he said. So that's how like of the earth my grandmother was.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And I say all that to say that when we would go for summer vacation. So that would be we would always travel, I want to say like the very end of June or early July through September and miss like the first 2 days of school because they were always like half days or we like a weird day because you had like Labor Day, I think it was. And then so we would all is it Labor Day? Yeah. That first Monday in September is a day. It's
Hmm.
a day, right? So we would always miss those days. And if I didn't pack enough products or anything, like
Hmm.
everything was far away. So it's not like we could just walk to the nearest like store or something,
Right.
you know? So my grandmother, she would have like cloths and things that she would wash by hand and stuff and she'll dry and we would use. And I'm
Hmm.
like, okay. And it was comfortable for me. You know, it was weird because you're used to being an American and using
Right.
and wings and fucking diapers and
Triple absorbency.
right. I don't even know till this day, like number 5, number 6, like what you use. Bitch, just give me a pad, please.
Oh my goodness.
Like, just give me a pad. So she would, and then I would always feel embarrassed. But one thing, again, my grandmother was very like earthy, very like to her core, very
Hmm.
mother nature. So she was just like, "No, give me, I'll wash it." Like she was it wasn't even it was like second nature to her, no problem. So I
Hmm.
did experience, having to use the cloth. And honestly, that was and I was young. So she was also very like, we have to protect your health down there. You
Right.
can't put anything down there, because we don't know. And that's who taught me about fragrances and things. She's like,
Hmm.
you don't put perfume down there. You don't put perfume on this cloth and then put it on. She's like, no, you need it to be normal. It's okay, like natural. That's how she would like try to talk to me. So I'm like,
Right.
yeah, okay, grandma, whatever you say. Love you,
Mm.
grandma. And so I don't know. I feel like because of work for me right now, I
Mhm.
wouldn't feel comfortable using like a cloth
Right.
because I'm like, yo, I'm running around way too much.
Mhm.
And, it would suck for me, and sometimes I do take, like, extra clothes at work too, and
Right.
or I'll go across the street to the hospital, be like, "Yo, I'll be back," real quick, do what I
Mhm.
gotta do, if I have to shower, whatever it is. And again, I'm very lucky to have this type of resource at work. Um, but I really do if I could just go all, like, natural, all cloth or something, I would really prefer that
Right.
than having those weird things with, like, what they say are cotton, but you really don't know if, like,
Right.
if there's, like, plastic in that or because that's a very sensitive area.
Right. Yeah.
It's an orifice, y'all.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't know how to use it properly. So, they end up with infections or some
Right.
kind of light, mild damage or whatever the case may be.
Yes. Yes. And can I tell you, toxic shock syndrome, it's been around for a long time.
Mhm.
I didn't really know much about it till, like, I wanna say, like, 10 years ago.
Really?
And this is me going to school. I was pre-med. And I
Wow.
said, "Well, fuck this shit." Then I was in nursing school, and I said, "Fuck you too." And then, and honestly, we didn't really touch on that.
Mhm.
I didn't know about it, I wanna say till, like, 10 years. And I'm like,
Wow.
"Holy shit, you can go septic and
Mm.
like, lose a limb? That's
That,
crazy.
that's extreme.
That's nuts."
Yeah, that's nuts. That's totally nuts.
Yeah, and then they have, like, these weird cups now,
Hmm.
which I'm not even gonna get okay, no, I am gonna get into it, okay? You wanna know why? Because I think I don't know how those function,
Hmm.
and maybe and I don't wanna say the wrong thing,
Right.
but so what it is, it's like a cup that you gotta fold up a certain way,
Hmm.
and then I guess and then it opens up. Yeah, that shit will
Hmm.
never work for me. It will never work for me. I will be the one I'll look like Carrie, and that's all I'm gonna say. I will look like fucking Carrie.
But the cup can last up to 12 hours.
That shit can last up to 12 minutes. I'm alright. 12 days. I'm okay.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I just nah, yeah, that's not for me.
But when you talk about reusable products, and its intent, well, for whatever intent, and to include reducing period poverty, we're in 2023.
Mhm.
We have AI, we have self-driving cars, we have all of this stuff, and
Yep.
this is a this I don't want to minimize it, but this small aspect of basic care is so primitive. It's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. To me, I feel like you remember back like during COVID, like you had
Yeah.
curfew, you could not go outside unless you were, somebody,
First responder,
all that stuff. That's when it really hit the world that at least in New York City, and I always go back to New York City because we boast on being so great and so
right,
cool. We don't need anything. We have it all. People didn't have enough fucking food.
right.
Kids were hungry. And the only access to food was school, and school was fucking closed.
Yeah.
So they created these little trucks and buses, and these people donated and whatever to bring food to families who really needed them. Or, come at this time 6 feet apart, everybody, and collect a bag of food. And
Mhm.
listen, growing up, we used to go to the local church and grab some
Right,
stuff.
yeah.
That so it is what it is. But I'm just like, it took COVID for us to realize that we didn't have food enough, or
Mm,
kids didn't have enough food. So honestly, when I think about period poverty, I can see it happening.
mm.
I can see it because it's like you have families who can't afford the basic things like milk, cheese, fucking bread for their
Yeah.
kids to just get up, have a grilled cheese, have some calcium, and go to school. You know what I mean? So I
Right.
definitely see how period poverty is a thing. It's like the most
Mm.
important things within families is what's lacking.
Yeah, yeah.
But everything else is thrown in your face. And again, I go
Mhm.
back with you can go to McDonald's and get a $5 meal that'll come with like a fucking large drink, a dessert, all that stuff, right? But then you go to the supermarket and you're like, oh, I want to get me some carrots and some kale and shit. And that's $20 a pop. And you're like, how?
Right. Like, help me understand this right now. Like, do you know it's weird. It's weird.
Right?
It's
Right?
weird.
And
And it seems like we have that problem more here. Like, period poverty is worldwide, but it seems like from everything that I've been looking at, we have the bigger our problems are exasperated when it comes to stuff like this. And it's like this of all global things that go on, why are we the ones to have it the worst? And we supposed to be the world leader in so much.
exactly. Why? I
It's
will never understand, and that's why I'm just like, "Yo, y'all full of shit." Like, y'all
yeah,
wanna sit here and be like, "We're the best. Who needs money? You need money? Yeah, we'll loan you some money, don't worry. Listen, the US got it. Don't worry, whatever
yeah.
you need." But then its own people, we're
Mm.
like, "Wait, what are we gonna get? Hello? Do our thoughts count? Do we have
Right, right, right.
right? Do we have a say in this? Can we just one little thing, please? No? Okay. Alright, you got it. No problem, you guys got it."
Yeah. So do they even teach this stuff in school anymore? Like,
No, and that's what I always ask my 9-year-old. I asked my teenager had a health,
uh-huh.
but it was bullshit. She
Mm,
said it was bullshit. She said they spoke about some stuff, but I was younger than my 17-year-old when I
mhm.
learned what herpes was.
Wow.
Listen, yeah, it was crazy. We were in an auditorium in school. I
Mhm,
was in like, I wanna say like maybe 5th grade,
mhm.
and in the auditorium, the screen had like health, like pictures that looked from like a health textbook.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, this is what herpes looks like on a vagina. And this is what herpes looks like on a penis. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, I am never gonna get herpes.
Like, no, you're the devil.
I'm never going. Like,
Oh my
I
God.
was so scared because I mean, listen, I'm glad I learned it.
Right.
I really am because I wasn't gonna get it from home. So I'm glad I learned it, but it was an experience to say the least.
Mm.
And even asking my husband, who him and we were same grade, like because we're about the same age. He's a year
Mhm.
older than I am. He never received a health class like that.
Wow.
Never. And he went to school in Harlem and I was in the Bronx. So we were literally just a borough apart. He
Right.
never. I said, "What?" Because I thought, they taught it to us. Everybody should know. He's like, he's like, "Absolutely not." He's like, "No, I just knew I was like a horny boy,
Right.
and then I had a conversation with my dad and that's it, like that's it." I'm like, "Really? You didn't learn about like STDs and like how to put on a condom?" Like he's like,
Crazy.
"Right?" Yeah.
Unbelievable. So up there, can women buy menstrual products with their I'm old school, with their food stamps?
With their food stamps, listen, it's food stamps. People call it what? Snaps. I don't
Yeah,
know
SNAP,
what they call
WIC,
it.
and all that,
What?
whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Mm.
I know food stamps is strictly for food.
Mhm.
Like I think right now our piece of shit mayor kind of made it okay to buy hot food because before it was just cold food. You can even get like a hot sandwich. Which
God.
isn't that fucking wild? Like, yo, my kid is hungry. You want me to feed him a cold ass ham and cheese sandwich? You can't heat it up for me on
Right.
my EBT card?
That's that. I don't.
I
Yo,
don't.
what the fuck?
And that's what I said. Politics is so weird to me because for me, logically, I'd be like, yeah, it's still it's the same sandwich. It's just hot. Go
Right.
go ahead, heat it up. What the fuck? Go ahead. Yeah, we pay for that.
Like, why do you even care what I'm buying as long as I'm not buying frivolous stuff? Like, if it's
Right.
food, it's food.
Yo, I'm not going in there with my food stamps talking about, yo, let me get that Ciroc coconut. That's not what
Exactly.
that's not what we doing out here.
Nah, not at all.
Right.
Like, come on, man.
I just
Get
want
out of
this
it.
hot sandwich for my kid. That's
That's
all.
it. Like, give me a break.
Right. That's all I want. But one thing is in the community, and that's what I love when it comes to people who really look out for their own in their community. When I was again, with my son, I was living in a part of the Bronx that was not so nice. And
Mhm.
I remember going in and I never qualified for like food stamps and stuff like that. But, with WIC, anybody can get WIC. If
Mhm.
you go, you do what you got to do, you show, So I had WIC, and there's certain things that you can't get. They have to
Right.
be on WIC. There's some things that are interchangeable, but you have to stick to whatever WIC says. And there was
Right.
this one store where I went in once, and I didn't know it was my first time. I didn't even know WIC was a thing. And I went in to like get milk and all this stuff or whatever. And I took something I wasn't supposed to. And he very kindly, very nicely said, "Hey, you're not supposed to get that on WIC." But he's like, "You keep coming here, don't worry about it. You can take whatever you want. Just make sure you bring your WIC stuff." I said,
Right.
"Okay." So he allowed me to take sometimes double the stuff.
Oh, okay.
And he would be like, "Don't worry about it.
Mm.
It's," and that to me was very sweet because not only was I, again, very young, I didn't have that parental support. So I was really
Mm.
just learning shit on my own for a little bit. And to have somebody who was kind to me that way and
Right.
say, "Don't worry about it," because I had no idea what I was doing. You can tell I had no idea what I was doing.
Mm.
He was even the one that was like, "Well, you gotta sign here." Like I had no idea. He's like,
Mm.
"Oh, it's okay." And he was very, and from what I heard, he was just very nice to all the families that went in there. And honestly,
Mm.
think about it. Isn't that how a lot of these small businesses or mom and pop stores kind of have protection from the community too? Like, "Nah, don't touch
Right.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're in the hood, don't touch that
Yeah.
store. That so and so store, we love them, don't touch them. You can go hit up
Yep.
any store you want." You know
Yep.
what I mean? So it's just that togetherness that I feel right now, even pre-COVID, we're lacking.
Mhm.
We don't have that. Nobody has empathy anymore.
Right.
Nobody
Yeah.
cares anymore. It's just the other day, there was this older guy. He lives on the brownstone right next to the building, and I see
Mhm.
him walking, but I see him struggling up the stairs. So I take my headphones off and I see him walking. He's just going very slow. And I turn around and said, "Do you need any help up the stairs?" Can I tell you, he stopped and he was like, "Nobody has ever asked me that." He's like, "You are so nice." He was so old too. He's like, "You're so nice."
Wow.
He's like, "No, oh my God, thank you." He's like, "Wait right here. Do you need anything?" I'm like, "Boss, I just wanted to help you up the stairs."
Right. Now you're trying to give me half your Social Security check.
Right, now you wanna put me on your will. Wait.
I'm not sitting on your lap.
Right. No means no. But
Stop, no, don't.
exactly, but people it's because it's missing. We don't
Yeah.
humanity just doesn't have that anymore.
Mm.
So, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on either. But I want to get back to that menstrual equality equity law.
Mhm,
It if it gets I don't know if they try to pass in 2020, so I don't know the status of it, but it would require schools,
mhm.
public government places, and correctional facilities to provide free menstrual products. I'm not understanding why they have to pay for menstrual products in jail.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
That is wild.
It's like you're there. What you're not gonna just say, "Hey, can you open up? I'll be right back. I just gotta go grab some pads at the store."
Yeah.
Just open up. I'll be right back.
Yeah. I mean that right there is heartbreaking to me because it's like if you don't have money on your books or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
then you can't buy those products. So like
Well,
somebody please help me understand what what recourse do they have if they can't afford this stuff in jail? It's not like, they're getting a living wage or anything like
right.
that. Like,
Or this is when like that you owe me or I owe you
right.
situation comes in, and that's how issues start depending,
Yeah.
what's going on in there, what mental health wise. So it's like, "Yo, okay, I don't have it. Let me borrow X, Y, and Z, and whenever I get it, I'll give it back to you," or whatever. That's when that IOU culture starts
Yeah.
to get a little too out of hand, and you got the fights and you got all that other shit
You
going
get your
on.
neck split because you didn't give somebody back a tampon or a pad. And it's
Right.
like, yo, really? I died over a pad?
Right. Right. Listen, long now that you said that, what I thought of the tampons, I do remember a young girl growing up who would cut her tampons in half.
I've heard of people doing that.
And I'm just like, "But the other half doesn't have the string." So I'm
Right.
just like, "How what are you gonna do?" It's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's survival." It really is survival.
Yeah, that's a horrible dig right there. Like that
Yeah.
joker slips up and yeah,
Yeah.
toxic shock.
Toxic shock, right. Or you gotta do some what is it? Squats and coughs or something.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Wow.
Gotta get that sucker out.
It's stuff like that that makes me glad that I'm not a woman that I have to deal with stuff like that because
Mhm.
I mean, when you think of cutting tampons in half, that mentally and emotionally, that has to be like devastating,
Yeah,
especially if you don't have that support, to keep you from doing that for one, or if it's found out that you are doing that to talk you through it and help you to do better. Oh, yeah.
yeah. I don't know if you noticed, do you guys have a lot of charter schools out there in DC? You're in DC, right?
I'm in Maryland, but there
Oh,
there are a lot
Maryland.
of charter schools in Maryland, and I believe there are quite a few in DC as well.
So, I feel like I don't know if you've noticed this, but, like, charter schools today, especially here in New York, they're all like the professor or the teachers or the instructors and, they're all getting younger and younger.
Right, yeah.
Very, very young. Do you think, like, they're a little more relatable to our children because of, like, their age? Do you think they have more influence when it comes to, "Hey, come to me, have a conversation with me about what you need. I'm here to help," or do you think that kind of pushes, the younger generation away, like, "Oh, we're kind of equals because we're not that far apart in age, so
Mm,
I don't wanna have certain conversations when it comes to, like, my body or my period or what I need or my family's needs
mhm.
because we're too close and I wanna be, like, cool. I don't wanna be embarrassed."
I would say yes and no. I would say because they're closer in age, they're more relatable.
Right.
But then you also have to factor in the mentality of that teacher and the mentality of that child, um, what environment that child comes from. because then you also have those who, all right, this teacher, I come from a messed up background or whatever the case may be. My home life is crap. I can go talk to my teacher because she's relatable, or I don't want to talk to my teacher because she might look at me. I think she may look at me crazy,
Yeah.
but I do think there is a benefit to the teachers being closer in age to the kids for that reason. Um, but at the same time, you would hope that a more seasoned teacher would be able to do the same.
Right.
So I think it's a 50-50 thing, and I think that it all, also you can factor in where this school is located, because up there in New York City, it may be okay in Yonkers, but in the Bronx, it might be no go.
Right.
Down here in Maryland and Baltimore, it might be a hit or miss thing, but up where I'm at, it might be all good. So it's a lot that factors into that. But I would hope that with the teachers being closer in age, that it'd be easier for them to relate to each other.
Yeah. I have the same hope. Only because it's sometimes like we were talking about this whole conversation, it's hard going back to your own family
Yeah.
and talking about like how you feel, or what's happened to you, or why you had to, why do you keep throwing out your jeans or your pants,
Hmm.
why do you keep doing these things? And it's easier to relate to somebody who's already in your school or part
Right.
of your that community where it's like, this is who I'm going to go to. I know
Hmm.
they're going to be able to help. And again, I keep going back to myself because I had a lot of these experiences, but in 5th grade, I had a teacher who was amazing, and
Hmm.
she treated me like I was her kid. And she would always ask, like, "Hey, did you bring something to eat? Did you eat today?" Like, she was also always very, like, laser focused if I was okay. And I wasn't
Right.
the only one. There were a whole bunch of other kids that she was just like, "Hey, are you okay? Do you need anything? Do you need anything?" Because, like, we all know our peers, we all know our
Right.
classmates.
Yeah.
There were some of my friends who I'm like, "Oh, I know their parents and I know they're
Hmm.
not always available for them."
Right.
She was that one person who was like, "Okay, I have to give a kid a hug today because
Hmm.
might not get hugged when they get home. They
Right.
might get food when they get home." And to me, that I was very grateful to have
Hmm.
that. I was able to divulge a lot of what was going on at home to her instead of keeping it suppressed and becoming like this angry, mad little girl.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I would hope that that's, the same everywhere,
Yeah.
but
So, being that they really don't have health classes like they did back in the day, is that something that's banned in schools, or is it possible for individual schools or school districts to create a program to educate these young girls on this stuff to prevent that aspect of period poverty?
I don't know if it's something that's banned. I just always hear the word budget cuts. You know what
Mm,
I mean? And that's one thing that Shane and I always talk about is whenever the city is broke, whenever the city needs to budget itself, they always take it out of education.
mhm.
And I remember the day that we fucking lost like all of our music classes. They don't
What?
teach music, they don't teach art. It is slowly trickling back. Like right now,
Uh-huh.
our 9-year-old, what they're doing is they're splitting up music and art.
Mhm.
So, and now like outside activities, I think they're gonna learn how to play tennis and stuff like that. So, like
They took that out of schools too?
yeah. I remember we used to play golf. I wasn't even
Yeah.
in high school. They used to take us to Van Cortlandt Park in the Bronx and play golf.
Wow.
Yeah, we were playing I was on the volleyball team.
Mm.
Now, they have your usual, but in high school, you have your basketball teams and stuff. But
Yeah.
elementary school, like they cut right now. What they're doing in my little one's school is half the year,
Mhm.
one a portion of the school, like let's say 4th and 5th graders, are going to play tennis,
Mhm.
or are I'm sorry, are doing music, and then the other portion is doing art, and then they switch. So it's just like, why can't everybody kinda learn around the same time? And I asked
Yeah.
her, "You guys have instruments?" Like, I remember I used to play the alto saxophone. My best
Yeah.
friend would play trumpet, one of my other friends were playing clarinet. I would bring my saxophone home. Now you have to pay for these extracurricular activities. These are things that you do on the weekend, or I remember I used to borrow my upstairs neighbor her violin. She would bring it home, and I was teaching myself how to fucking play the violin. Kids don't have that anymore.
That's wild.
Isn't that crazy? They don't have that anymore.
Yeah, because I played the trumpet from the 7th grade till my junior year.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Just music to me is just a beautiful thing for children.
Wow.
I feel like, or even for us adults, like
Yeah.
music is just, for me, that's my happy place.
Yeah.
For sure. So I'm just like, wow. I remember getting the knocks on the door because I would play really late at night, and they're like,
Yeah.
please, and I'm just like, listen, I gotta get better. I got a recital, like,
Yeah. I got a grade to get.
I got a grade to get. Like, listen, there's a show happening for Christmas. You think I'm gonna sound like crap because of you?
Right.
I think not.
You better get them noise canceling headphones. I know they didn't make them yet, but go get them.
Plug your ears up. Plug your ears up. And that's
Oh
what
man.
I always think of. I think of budget cuts. So the question is, do they not have these in-depth health classes because of budget cuts? I know some high schools, if they were specialized, at least from back then, they would give you a lot more health related topics and a lot more health classes. But if you went to like a business high school, that was the least of their worries. So it's like not everything is equal across the board.
Right. Yeah.
And that to me is weird. Like we should all be
Yeah.
learning, at least when it comes to stuff like that, we should all be learning the same thing so we're all on the same page.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know how many clubs they still have in school, like debate club, the glee club, and all that stuff like that. I don't see if you can have those clubs, I don't see why you can't have a club for or a group for young girls to learn these things about, menstrual and this, that, and other to prevent that aspect of period poverty. I don't it's so simple to me that it's like, are y'all scared to do this? Are y'all forbidden to do this? Like, what is really stopping you from preventing this aspect of period poverty? Because if they're not getting it at home and they're not getting it at school, then you want to point the fingers everywhere and say, oh, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem, when there are easy, viable solutions out there to prevent that aspect of period poverty.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I remember, again, going back to my days, we used to create, like, me and a group of girls and guys, like a whole bunch of us would get together and be like, okay, this is what we think needs change. Listen, I was also in the fucking debate team, so don't like I was in like I was coming for everybody when I was listen,
Oh,
you
man.
mess with me when I was in fucking junior high. I was coming for everybody. But we would come together and we're like, okay, what do we want to see change? What do we
Mhm.
want to help with? And we would get together and pitch it, and our teachers would be in full support. And we
Right.
would go like clubs, like how you said we would have clubs every Friday and things like that. And we would go around and we'll do petitions and we'll be like, okay, what do you want to learn about today? And
Mhm.
things like that. And then we would kind of build our own around that. And we were kids.
Right.
And we were going different classes. Listen, I was tutoring when I was in 4th grade, I was tutoring 2nd graders. And one of them became very close to me. And I kept tutoring her till she was, let's see, because she was 2nd, 3rd. So she was in 5th grade.
Mhm.
And every time she saw me, because she was from the community, so I would see her. Every time she saw me, she would tell her dad, "Oh, look, she's the one that taught me how to read. Oh, look,
Mhm.
she's the one that helped me with my math and with my multiplication. Oh, look," and that was fucking great.
Right. Yeah.
You don't have that no more, man.
Yeah. And that's crazy that you don't have that no more. And a lot of, to add to those services not being available, I don't think a lot of these kids care to learn that aspect. They're quick
Right.
to crack their legs open and do this, that, and other, but they don't want to learn the details of what goes on with that entire system of your body.
Yeah. I sometimes I find that they're like, "Oh, whatever. You're just mad because I'm doing this." And it's like, "No,
Right. Yeah.
I really do wanna try to educate you." Like, I promise you.
Like,
I
look,
wanna
I'm
make
not
sure.
mad because you're doing stuff that I never thought of doing. So I applaud your enthusiasm and your creativity. However, I still need you to understand the basics of this because there's gonna be a day we're gonna be like, oh shit, how do I put that in?
Right. Right. Like, "Oh, wait. What do I how do you is this backwards? I don't
Right.
okay, sure."
Like, do you know what a diaphragm is? Yeah, it's that thing. No, not that one.
Well, not the one you sing with. Right. And can I tell you the first time I heard that was on Seinfeld?
Wow.
Yep. Was it on Seinfeld? Yeah, it was on Seinfeld. And fucking what's her face? Elaine was going crazy because she didn't have any more diaphragms.
Oh my
And I
goodness.
was like, what the fuck is that? Like, you buy a diaphragm? Like, what did she do? Did she sing too hard? And like,
Oh my gosh.
and I learned what a diaphragm was from fucking Seinfeld.
And this is stuff that I learned in middle school.
From Seinfeld. Yup. So you were lucky. You went through that
Yeah.
era where like we're gonna educate children. We're gonna
Yeah.
educate you. We're gonna give you what you need. You're gonna fucking survive.
Right. You may do some stupid shit outside of this classroom, but you cannot say you didn't learn.
You can't say I didn't tell you.
Right. I thought I told you. Oh man. I mean, it's a great conversation. I know people are gonna look at the title and see me and be like, what the but I
Oh,
mean, it's something that I thought was an important discussion to have, and it was a shocking discussion. And again, I felt you're the right person to have this conversation with. So, I thank you for that. But I think this is, something that needs to be talked about. The stigma needs to be taken away from the taboo needs to be taken away from it because for the life of me, I don't understand why there is a stigma and a taboo about this and why people are having a hard time talking about this. Um, and all the other factors that go into period poverty is just leaves me speechless.
I know, and I'm hoping that when we put this out in the interwebs, and again, YouTube, don't come for us. Educational purposes only. We've already
Right.
said this before. Do not come for us. But I hope that people see this, and say, yeah, this is dumb. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Let's let our children know. Let's let our families know. No shame. Because that's, it's a lot of shaming when it comes to
Right.
there's no shame. Let's just talk to them about it because this is also a very important time
Yeah.
in, a girl's life. It's really a big change,
It
and it
is.
happens during teenage years, where anything can happen. And if they lack that knowledge and they don't know how are they gonna help themselves? How are they gonna ask for help if they're in trouble?
Yeah.
Oh, they won't. They
Yeah.
won't.
And another thing for me is, for me having this conversation, men, this is not something that you should shy away from or act too embarrassed to talk about or deal with because, you know, I used to be ashamed of going to the store and be like, I'm not buying tampons, this, that, and other. But it's like, if I can lay in the bed and do all these things with you, then I should be able to go to the store and get these things for you. Now, if I don't know you or whatever the case may be, you can't afford it, whatever. All right, I got you because this is important. And so, men, boys out there, you need to really understand that this is a serious issue, a serious thing for women in general, and women in your family or whatever who may not be educated on it, may not be able to afford it, and all these other things. So this is a thing that needs to be discussed openly and addressed openly and fixed openly so that this stigma goes away.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
We speaking to the people.
To all the people.
This episode, we speaking to the people.
Yes.
Yes, and I love that. So, mi gente, we've already reached that time. You already know what time it is. So, Toucha, thank you so much for being
Thank
on. I really
you
do
for
appreciate it.
having me.
Of course, thank you. It's always a vibe.
Yes.
Duh. But thank you so much for really shedding light on this topic. Again, I was like, yo, this is gonna be a mixture of we gonna be real funny with this shit, but we must spread the awareness, all right?
Yes.
So I really, really appreciate you coming on. Do you want to let the people know how to reach you, how to follow you, all that good stuff?
Yeah, just look me up on pretty much all social media. Soul Toucha The Poet, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Threads, X, YouTube, all those places. The King and I Life podcast. We're going to get back to it when we get our coordinated lives together because he's busy, I'm busy, but we still rock with each other. We still talk on a regular. We still talk about, hey, we need to do this, that, but we're gonna come back and kick it and do what we do.
Yes, and I'm here for it. So I cannot
Yes.
wait. I cannot wait. So we have to make sure you follow, show love, subscribe, like, share, comment, all that good stuff. Cause it's free. Don't be so fucking goddamn cheap.
Right.
Jesus Christ. And make sure you follow your girl on Instagram at itsmi.chelle. Click the link in my bio. All my socials are on there. Can I tell you I forgot to mention Threads and I keep saying Twitter and it's
X.
I'm going through changes.
Right. Period.
Now we can be funny because at the end, you see, yo, we ain't shit.
Right.
Now we can be And don't forget, tune in on all podcast platforms if you're an audio only baddie. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Behind the Scenes on the Patreon. You already know what to do. We out here trying to make Friday a lot easier to get to. And with that said, peace and love. We out.
And like Michelle says on a daily basis, peace.
Peace.
I see you. It's me. 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 Shell.